What's up, guys? Andre Hickle Jr. here from Client Ascension, back with another student spotlight interview. Here with the man, Luca. What's up, brother?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, bro. We're just getting into, like you were saying off the call, summertime. And so this is kind of the time of year where businesses might slow down or start to go out of office a lot more than usual. But this is a time where we lock in and we speed things up and we really start to force the issues. So I'm excited to be here with you here today and just to talk more about your journey through a client ascension.
For sure.
Awesome. And so one thing we were talking about off camera as well is like you've been in the program for almost a year now, right? And people know Client Ascension is like a 6 month program, and we've had a lot of people that will join for 6 months. They'll hit their goal, or as we call it in Client Ascension, their wildly important goal or their WIG, and then they'll leave the program after 6 months as if they have no other problems or questions or issues they'll face in the business. And usually those students we could kind of do like the opposite of a case study, and with a lot of them, unfortunately, we could go to them later on and talk about how like their businesses started to go downhill after the fact. And so talk about like why have you stayed in the program for as long as you have, even though it's just a 6 month program?
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, like those first 6 months when I started the program versus like when those 6 months were up, just everything had drastically changed. Like, yes, I was putting more time into like what I was doing, which is Klaviyo email marketing, but just I had so much more direction this time around, which really helped. And, the client acquisition was so much better, client results were better. So, no real complaints about that. The reason why I stayed, which is like, I think it's like 12 months now, I've been in the program pretty much. I see it almost as an insurance policy in some way because, things always change, whether it's about like client acquisition, if, with cold email, Google and Outlook get more serious about their sending requirements, who are you going to ask if your cold email campaign goes terrible in about 3 days, right? If I didn't have a bunch of people like in the client ascension group where I can just quickly send a message to who are all experts in that sort of field, it would be much more difficult. And I don't know where I would kind of be if I didn't have that assistance. Because, yeah, once again, if you have a question, like it's not unrealistic. Within an hour, you have 3 people, 4 people you can always get a hold of who are very good in their field, whether it be, lead gen, the service that you're selling already, which for me is Klaviyo email marketing, which I can connect with a bunch of other people who do the same thing as me. It's very easy to just get access and answers to those questions, which, you know, it may not seem like a lot sometimes, but they do come up and it's a lot better when you can move faster. So that's been one of the most valuable things for me in like the past year with Client Ascension, I'd say.
I love it, bro. Yeah, and that's like the definition of a mastermind, right? That's like what a coaching program is really meant for. It's like it's a peer group of other people that are on the same or similar journey as you, surrounded by experts that have either got to the goalpost or even further than that to help you and guide you along the journey you're currently on. And like I do the same thing, bro. Like I joined Taylor Welch's mastermind and we're scaling our program and we're trying to figure out how to get more leads into Client Ascension. And the model that Taylor teaches is you need to send people into lower ticket products at first and then have a conversion mechanism after they buy a low ticket product to get them then to buy your flagship program like Client Ascension. And like that's all new to me. So like I'm going in there pretty consistently and I even have a call with them later today just to learn more about like the different role. Like what's the role I need to hire that will take people that buy a low ticket product and get them to join Client Ascension eventually, right? And like how do I map that out? How much do I pay? How do I train them? Like no matter what level you're at in business, there's always the next question you're looking for an answer to or the next problem that you have to solve for. And then even if you've solved for something before, like you said, maybe you cracked the code on cold emails when you first joined Client Ascension, but like that's different now. Like it changes so fast. And if you're in a group with other people that are experiencing and talking about that change on a daily basis, you stay ahead of where everyone else is at. And like that's your competitive edge as an agency owner is just having access to that group that's so ahead and so on top of things. So one question I have for you, Luca, is like how do you use Client Ascension today compared to when you first joined the program?
Good question. So when I first joined, I was going through the modules. Like there's how many are there, Andre?
A lot. There's probably over 200 at this point.
Yeah, so I went through all of those, or like most of them, I'd say. quite a few times. There's a few in there which I can kind of recite off by heart. So those are extremely helpful, especially in the beginning. Now I've kind of learned a lot of the basics in that regard, whether it be, sales, cold emails, just fulfillment, hiring in general, because I've kind of went through everything at least once before. So yeah, that was mostly it at the beginning, more so learning. And now it's just kind of refining and tweaking. And when questions pop up, just having a coach in my corner, which I can ask for questions. So in real time, what that might look like is, attending calls. So, I like going to, for example, like the lead gen calls. Those are especially helpful because I don't really sell cold email. I mean, I use it to sign clients, but I'm not an expert in that field. So being able to just hop in there on a Zoom call, ask my quick questions, get them answered from someone who sells the service themselves and, is an expert in their field has been very, very helpful. So I guess just to kind of sum it up, in the beginning, it was more so like learning from the modules, almost like studying for a test in some sort of way. And now it's just like practicing and actually using what I learned in real time. And the results have kind of shown for itself. And yeah, I mean, everything's kind of worked out. I mean, it took a lot of work, but we're in a much better position now than
Yeah.
a year ago when I started.
Much better position for sure. And like I was saying even before, like I feel like I'm in a much better position as well with my business than I was a year ago or 2 years ago, which is great, but I still know, like, there's problems today and tomorrow and 6 months from now that I'm gonna have to continue to solve for. So just to give the audience some perspective, like, what are some of the problems you're facing in your business or, like, the next things that you're solving for to just unlock that next level of growth?
Good question. So in the beginning, I mean, this kind of switched. At first, it was like signing the first few good clients.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of came. Now it's more so hiring like the right people, which I'm kind of going through right now, and just being kind of like a better manager, a better leader, and getting the most out of the people that I have on board. So yeah, just current spot right now, looking to bring on another account manager just to take myself even a little bit more outside of the business. And then just maintaining good client results, which we already have. I keep on getting better at, the service that we provide, which is great. And I mean, that's pretty much it. Just continuing to get better, sign more brands, and then fulfill a good service. And then, if that just takes care of itself, then I'm happy. I'm in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's, like, the constant like evolution, right? It's like at first you come in and you're just trying to get your first client, and then you get some leads or calls on your calendar and you're struggling to close. So you got to fix sales. And then once you fix sales, now you got to fix fulfillment. And once you fix fulfillment, it's like goes back to lead gen. Like now you need more leads and then better sales. And it's just like this constant cycle of like every next level that you're trying to reach just requires you to get better and better at each of those things. You need to get better at lead gen because you need to increase the amount of channels you're getting leads from, right? Like if you're just doing cold email, that can only last so long. You're going to need to figure out how to make sales assets and post on YouTube and do affiliate partnerships. And then with sales, like you can always be improving your sales process and getting better at sales. And maybe even it's time to hire a sales team, which is a whole nother thing. So like there's always the next level of growth. And then obviously on the fulfillment side, like mastering your craft, like how helpful has it been? I think something that you guys do as email marketers specifically in Client Ascension is you have kind of like a small group with the other email marketers like
Yeah.
Michael and some of those guys. And then also Connor is at least who like from who I know, the most successful email marketing agency. One of the only ones that I know is consistently been at 100K a month for a while now. And so being able to learn from him every single week on his coaching calls, like what has that all been like?
Yeah, no, that's been incredibly valuable because there's a lot of coaches that kind of have done the same thing as you, just a little bit further ahead, right? So just having them there, it's like being able to talk to them like whenever you want, and then having that weekly call, it's just so much more helpful. Because think of it, like if you're trying to do something like on your own, right? Someone knows your answers to your questions, like they've been solved before, and like a lot of these coaches have. In my case, like yeah, you're mentioning Connor. I mean, he sells email marketing too. So being able to ask him questions, he knows kind of like the answers to like some of my questions, whether it be about what to hire and that sort of thing, because the service is quite similar, right? And just whoever in Client Ascension, all the coaches are running successful businesses. So it's just quite easy to get, very relevant, I guess, help is kind of what I'm saying to any of the questions that you have from anyone really. just in my case, yeah, it's helpful attending Connor's calls. If you sell cold email or whatever, there's a coach in there for that too. And then another thing as well, whatever you're selling, someone probably else sells it in Client Ascension, so you're able to connect with them and bounce ideas off of them. And that's been super helpful as well, as I've connected with a lot of other guys who do email marketing. And yeah, just being able to learn 10 times faster with those people alongside them rather than just being on the outside kind of learning alone. You know what I mean? So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, going back to like the true definition of a mastermind is like you're constantly having conversations and talking about what's happening day to day with other guys that are doing the same thing. And like how much faster can you learn and adapt to the market changes when you have access to that information and just people's perspectives, right? So like what does that look like? You're getting on calls with some of these guys, or like you're just exchanging messages and updates on Slack. Like how do you keep in touch with some of these other email marketers and client extensions?
yeah, for sure. So obviously the weekly calls, but it's mostly just through like Slack DMs. We can just chat about whatever it is. Someone has a question, they might ask me, or if I have a question, I never hesitate to reach out to someone. And I've asked a lot of questions. So I'm pretty sure I've asked almost everyone a question at this point. So yeah, if you're in Client Ascension as well, don't hesitate to reach out and ask somebody. If someone has the answer to your question that you're looking for, as long as you're within reason, feel free to go ask. And it's just very helpful to have however many people it is in the program, hundreds at this point, right? So just being able to ask pretty much anyone who's expert in whatever their field is, a question that you're trying to solve, it's just been super helpful. But to answer your question, it's mostly like in Slack, just through the DMs
Yeah.
and stuff like that in the program.
Super straightforward and simple. I love it, bro. And what's
Yep.
it been like working with your student success coach, Andy? Because I think one of the most valuable things that you need to have in business and especially in a coaching program is like essentially an accountability partner, and an accountability partner that's also like educated on business and also like the different resources and assets that you have access to in a program like Client Ascension. So like what's that been like working with Andy for the past 12 months as an accountability coach and just like your student success coach?
Yeah. No, I love Andy. He's always full of energy and he's very motivated to kind of help you do better. So as long as you're kind of willing to put in the work that you're kind of taught to do in Client Ascension in order to grow whatever that you're doing, whatever your student success coach is, they're definitely going to help you. In my case, it's Andy, and Andy's been fantastic. And I let him know too that he's been a big help for me. So every week, he'll check in with me, ask me what I need this week to make sure I'm sorted. And sometimes when I'm busy, it's hard to devote the most of my attention to answering or asking for help. So having someone proactively reach out to you at the start and end of the week has been super helpful because then it's just in front of me. I can ask him anything I need, and then he can go and just help get one of the coaches to answer my questions, whatever the case may be. So that's been super helpful, and then also guiding me in terms of what may be best as I'm kind of growing to focus on. For example, like, is it time to hire now? Do I have enough margin to go and do this or start doing whatever it is? So that's just been super helpful all around though. Andy's been fantastic, and yeah, just in general, he's been super helpful. And I let him know that as well if you ask him.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing the love and letting him know how helpful he's been. It's always nice to hear, right? And like what you said, one of the things that stood out is having like the start of week and end of week check-ins, right? Because like if you know it's coming by now, like you've been in the program for 12 months and you know like you're gonna get that message from Andy at the end of the week to just kind of be like, yo, like what are the updates? Like what progress did you make? You're thinking about that at the start of the week. Like, hey, when Andy reaches out at the end of the week, because I know he's going to, like, I better have some updates for him.
Yeah,
Right? Like it just sits in the back of your head as like, I want to not let this guy down or not have anything to show for when he checks in and asks what I was working on this week. So it's one of those things that like we need and a lot of times like to be self-motivated and to have the reminders of like we need to make progress because there's not really anyone else watching over us and kind of pushing us, especially if we're in business on our own. So I think it's so helpful that like the small thing like the start of week and end of week check-in messages just go such a long way. How about the BHA calls? One of the things that we do pretty uniquely at Client Ascension is business health audits, and that's kind of like a process that has worked really well for myself and Daniel and all the founders at Client Ascension to grow our own businesses. It's just like a business model that we learned from a book and some YouTube videos that we kind of made into our own thing, where you set like a wildly important goal and then lag measures and lead measures. Like, how is getting on those calls and tracking all the data and staying consistent with BHAs helped with your business growth?
Yeah, it's been good. So to kind of put, some more insight in terms of what Andre's talking about, every month you'll fill out this form and it basically goes over everything that, you kind of should be doing in order to hit your results. So for example, if you want to grow by X amount, you know that you need to be doing X amount of outreach, X amount of sales assets or whatever it is in order to hit your goals. So then you can actually quantify that and see if you're falling short or, meeting your requirements in order to hit your goals. So it's been definitely good just to kind of have like an overview in terms of everything that you're doing, especially for me, which I can be quite scatterbrained at times. So just having a look at that and being able to see like, oh, I actually did pretty decent this month, or I grew by X amount this month, or I didn't grow this month, and why, what happened. So it's just having that bird's eye view and having someone else kind of look over it with you, especially because I'm a solo founder. I don't have anyone else working alongside me. It's good to kind of just bounce ideas off someone else, which would be Andy in my case, and just see, what processes do I need to change for next month? If I want to improve, if I had a really good month, what did I do this month that was quite unique? So it's just being able to take a step back and kind of see what you did and what actually got your results by tracking everything on a spreadsheet. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah,
So
and what would you say, Luca, some of those things that you've tracked in the BHA sheet that have had a consistent impact on your business growth? Like, what are some things you've learned that if you do them consistently or when you do them, your business tends to grow as a result? Have you identified some pretty repeatable things there?
mainly cold email. I think client testimonial videos have been a great help for me. Yeah, just staying consistent with it. Like as I mentioned, I've been in the program now for about a year, so I've had a lot of time to kind of get better at cold email and stuff like that. And although it doesn't seem like a long time, stuff does compound even in a
Oh,
year.
yeah.
So I mean, I think just staying consistent with it has been a big help. And yeah, just if you're consistent over a long enough time horizon, honestly, you'll just get more social proof, you'll get better at what you do, and then everything just gets easier. So I
Yeah.
guess that's been the main thing, Andre, is just staying consistent with everything, the lead gen, and then also on the BHA, I'll always fill in, let's say, what I need to do for the next month, right? The main goals. So I can keep track of that and see before the month starts, I can write it down and say, okay, these 5 to 10 things or whatever the case may be, if I actually got these done, like would I be happy? Like, is that good progress to make in like 1 month? And then I'll work backwards that way. Because yeah, like, you know, sometimes if you're not super organized all the time, it's easy for these things to kind of just, go right by you, not keep track of everything. So it's just really helpful to be able to plan, especially with someone who's has experience doing it with other people who are more experienced and I guess have done it before you, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And I think it's like it's the consistency for sure. It's just knowing what to do consistently. I think that's the gap that we solve for people that are first joining the program is like they're ready to work, they just don't know what work to do. And it's
Yeah.
like once you figure out the things that like the levers, the pool that do drive growth in your business, then it's just staying consistent. And one thing you keep saying on this call, which I love to hear, is like finding ways to do them even better, right? Like just because you learned how to do cold email doesn't mean you can move on to the next thing. It's like, how can we do it better? How can we improve? And even though that change isn't like overnight, it's a consistent day to day thing. If you can get better every single day, you'll look back after like where you're at a year and just not even recognize where you first started, which is so awesome. One of the questions I have along the same lines of that is like, how have you gotten better as an email marketer and a service provider? Like, how have you gotten better for your clients with the work that you do?
Good question. How have I gotten better? Like, what have I done to like
Yeah,
make
what
sure
have you
I'm
done? Have
better?
you, like, brought on team members? Have you,
Oh,
like, invested in different systems in the business? Like, how have you just improved as a service provider, even, like, email marketer, like, learning from Connor as to, like, things he's done for his clients to get them better results? How do you just stay sharp as a service provider?
yeah. So, I mean, you can always ask coaches as well if you have any questions because they definitely will come up. Questions about different things. For me, regarding like email marketing specifically, like hiring, a better team has definitely helped alleviate some of the stuff that I need to do, right, during the day to day. So now I don't really do too much, only like the ad hoc stuff that kind of comes in, but I'm still working for majority of the day. So, nothing really changes. It's just the work that I'm doing kind of changes. And then regarding the actual service myself, just by doing it for a long time, I'm not the best, but I'm still pretty decent, I'd say. And just continue to do it, working in so many different industries, you just kind of get a grasp for what works, what doesn't. And even like auditing accounts has really helped. Speaking with other people in Client Ascension and like some advice they have, some learnings that they've had goes a long way. So it's a bunch of small things that kind of come together. But I guess the main ones have been hiring a good team, which I learned from, you guys, how to run, LinkedIn job ads and stuff like that, like a post on LinkedIn to get people into like a funnel, filter it out so you're only taking as many interviews as you like to find the right person, hiring offshore talent if you wish, and speaking with the guys in Client Ascension who also sell email marketing, and just honestly just putting a lot of time in, working in a bunch of different industries, and by stacking up a good amount of brands, like you'll naturally just get better at the service that you're selling. So for me, it's email marketing. For you, it might be something different. But yeah, I mean, the more clients that you work with, which Client Ascension helps you get clients, it's just like a positive flywheel, right? You just get better, you do better results, you'll sign more clients as a result of that. And yeah, it's just a flywheel. So I don't know if I answered your question, but just putting a
Yeah,
lot of time in.
absolutely, in a lot of different ways, which is great because I know, like, you as a service provider, you really care about delivering valuable results for your clients, and I think that answer, like, it's all over the place in a good way, um,
Yeah,
because you're doing so many things on a daily basis and leveraging the program in ways to just get better at delivering results or even being there for your team as well, right? I think is so key. So anyways, bro, I appreciate some of the insights there. One of my last questions is like, just for the audience to have some perspective, is like, and feel free to share numbers or even just to give like more general answers to this, whatever you're comfortable with. But like, where did you start 12 months ago when you joined? Where were you at maybe after that 6 month mark, and where are you at now? And then where are you still trying to go? So like four different stages, if you will.
okay, so like 12 months ago, I was doing email marketing. I had, some pretty good work under my belt, but I hadn't really taken like the full plunge where I was like, okay, now I really, really want to focus on this. So that's when I joined Client Ascension. And then after the 6 month mark, I exceeded my goal, which was great. And then now, another 6 months after that, it's better than that as well by quite a decent amount. So, I mean, if you would have told me like a year ago today, is, investing in Client Ascension like worth it? Although it was kind of like made me nervous at the beginning. I knew I just had to do it. Like I had nothing to really lose if this is really what I wanted to do. And it paid off as a very good decision. Even if you're investing, a good amount to enter the program, you know, if you're willing to put in the work, I mean, the guys are going to help you. You're not going to be worse off, being in the program than doing it alone. So yeah, it's made me a very good ROI, I'd say. And then yeah, just for the upcoming year, Andre, just to kind of like continue to grow. I mean, I've hit some of my goals that I want to hit, but now it's just hitting like the big ones. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I love that, bro. Awesome, man. I
for sure.
appreciate you providing some answer to that just to see how the journey kind of unfolds, at the start, 6 months into it, 12 months into it, and kind of how you stay motivated and focus on the next thing, even a year later. So it's really cool to have seen you go through the program and the journey. And it's the consistency thing too, right? It's like it's not just all of a sudden a plethora of results or things change overnight. It's like the fact that you've dedicated to this for the last 12 months every single day consistently is why you've seen the results, even though there might not have been a day or a time where things just popped off out of nowhere. It's like every day things are growing, and now you're sitting here 12 months since when you first joined, and I'm sure I know there are clear differences between like the person you are now,
Yeah,
the business owner you are now, and the business you have as well. And like even just having a business that can create opportunities for other people, like having team members, like dude, that's so cool. So
for sure. Yeah, it's been great. I thank you guys in Client Ascension, all the coaches. You guys have been super helpful, every single one of them. And they know I ask a bunch of questions, so it's been good to kind of have you guys just answer everything for me, and it's really paid off, like every single bit of it.
I'm happy to hear that, bro. And yeah, it's just a matter of using what's there, right? I feel like a lot of people will go through our program or any other program, and I see this going through Taylor Welch's program. It's like if I'm not asking questions and participating, it's near impossible for me to get value. So, like, just because I joined the program doesn't mean all of a sudden things will change. I have to now do the work. And a lot of people just miss that or forget it. or put it off. And that's, really the reason why results might not be where you want them to be. So anyways, dude, I appreciate all the kind words, the feedback. It's cool to see everything that you're doing and accomplishing out there. And as always, I'm sure there are people in the audience that are either in Client Ascension that should be connecting with you just by reaching out in the DMs and saying what's up, and just having that connection is always key. But for people in the audience or even in Client Ascension that just want to learn more about the work that you do, where can they follow you online? And then where can they learn more about your agency's services?
Yeah, just probably head to growpronto.com. That'll be where you can connect with me. And yeah, just learn about my services there. So if you're in Slack, I mean, you probably know me by now. And then, yeah, you can just reach out to me on Twitter as well at Luca Matarazzo 11 on Twitter. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, bro. Well, dude, thank you again for doing this. I'm excited to watch how your journey continues to unfold in the program and with everything you're working on. And we'll probably have you back on here, I'm sure, to catch up on tons more growth ahead. So,
Sounds good. Thank you.
all right, take it easy, bro. Peace.